Well, this also differs between different countries.
Yeah.
So I did put a list together.
I think you did it on there.
Maybe you can just have a look at...
What's on there? Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're fully in order, but and I can't see it from here. But the top, where the UK in terms of like the length of holiday, we're on like what, 4 or 5,
6 to 7.
6, 7. But like in terms of this list here.
But is that just summer, or is this?
This is just summer, and there's a list of random countries. But if you just maybe just read some of them out. So the longest one was Russia, right?
You got Russia, yeah. So 10 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, this is on average, and it's like.
Wonder why.
It might differ, but.
Yeah, that's so long. United States 10 to 12 weeks. They've got like pretty awful education system. United States. Russia. I mean, they're not really. They used to have quite a strong education system under the Soviet Union, but now I wouldn't say it's sort of competing with the best. And then you've got Brazil. You've got France, 8 to 9 weeks. Brazil, 8 weeks. Australia, 6 to 7 weeks. So that's quite similar to us.
And that's not in that's in their summer.
Yeah.
So that's like December, January.
Yeah, which sort of makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah. So all of these are like, all these weeks are localized. They're not always during July and August.
India about 6 to 8 weeks. Japan, well, Sweden you got 9 to 10 weeks. But I'm just wondering if Sweden, maybe they've got the childcare to.
Yeah, they will have.
Sort of provisions in place to actually deal with that. Japan 6 weeks,
which is the same as here, pretty much, right?
China, obviously, there's big regional variety, but it says 6 to 10 weeks. And then you got South Africa, so 6 to 8. So I mean, it's more or less the same, but I guess they all come from the same historical root. And once you set in it's like a cultural understanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then it's hard to sort of adapt it. But I think now a lot of people are saying things have changed enough for us to start considering shortening things. So even in Europe, and I think, was it Ireland or Scotland or something? Wales,
yeah.
Wales is, but I mean, again, their system's not very good. Like, they probably need to. They need to more, because I think their kids, like, they suffer a lot of summer learning loss. So it kind of like I said, like with independent schools, we could have like 8 weeks, we could have 10 weeks or whatever. I don't think it will make huge amount of difference to the end result, because if you've got the ability to retain stuff well, then that's sort of more set in stone. But then in places where you have some deprivation, like Wales, especially in the education system, obviously it makes sense to sort of shorten things. It's interesting what teachers think about this, though, because
it's been mixed. I think
it is quite mixed, because you've got some teachers who say we definitely need it, and maybe they do. In some circumstances, they probably do. I kind of think that maybe there's a way around this where teachers could sort of do shifts or something like that. So there's some other way of giving teachers enough holiday time.
But then it's not like nurses. Like with teachers, you need the kids need the consistency of that same person. People teach in different ways. People don't really like nurse in different ways. Like there's only one way to put in an IV, for example, but to teach maths, there's like loads of different ways. Yeah, and the kids need that consistency in that.
Well, yeah, no, I think it's more about it's not so much about what they're taught. It's the
how they're taught,
the stable figure.
Yeah,
and that leads the class.
Because it's not just knowledge, is it?
That's true to some extent, and maybe at like primary school, I could sort of make that argument, and also SEND schools. They definitely they don't have as much break as other schools because the kids need it more.
They need the constant repetition.
But I'd argue that probably that's true in more cases than not. So actually, there's probably quite a lot of primary school kids that actually need a bit more consistency during that period. But
even that's the same across all countries.
Yeah, no. Well, I think it's probably true in, like, say, the US, the UK, less so in Asia, because I think there's a bit more. They end up with sort of more equality of results, like as in terms of where children end up. So the better the education system, in terms of like where the kids are, probably somewhere like Japan, they could afford to have a bit more downtime because they've got quite a.
I think they also have like a bigger support network family-wise. Yeah.
So like I think certain economies. Having said that though, like Japan, I think work-wise, just because I think there's quite a lot of pressure in going to work a lot all the time and that kind of thing. So whilst the children might have need to have a bit more of a longer break, and probably the teachers too, maybe the society is not able to provide that, simply because there's not, like I said with Sweden, there'll be things in place that allow longer holidays and support networks in place that allow longer holidays. So without that, you can't really lengthen it. You can't give them more time. If anything, you're thinking about shortening the time, because that will be more in line with what society requires. The only issue is that now, obviously, teachers aren't happy. You've got like teacher strikes and things like that. You don't really want to like put more pressure on them to work more or that kind of thing, or work during the summer holidays, which is probably like one of the reasons why maybe they didn't sign up to become a teacher because of that. But it's one of the big sort of advantages of the job is the fact that you get those long summer holidays.
Yeah.
And then you take that away.
I think a lot of them do teaching for that reason.
I mean, it's the wrong reason to go into it. Like you should, but I know they understand it as a perk. Like at the very least, they understand it as a perk.
It's a perk. It's not like the
main... it's not the sole reason why.
Because
that's not a good reason to go into anything. But I think for teachers, would you really want to pile a bit more pressure on them by sort of shortening the holidays, even at the cost of so even if you were to redistribute the holidays, maybe they do need that amount of downtime. The trouble is, it's very hard to test. Like, how do you test this? Like, there's not.
You can't really. There's
You've just got to do it, and then you have like a trial year, and to be honest, even if you had a trial year, that's not enough time to actually.
And that's also more disruptive than just changing it fully. You're then going to change back afterwards.
Or maybe not. No, that's the thing. Is there's limited data on the effect of holidays and shortening them and that kind of thing. So there are individual differences per country, but you can see that they're more or less agreeing to some extent.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this clip of the Education Lounge podcast. To watch another clip, click here or here. To watch the full episode, click here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps the algorithm.
The Education Lounge podcast.